моим. Я всех пожру.
The first battle with the Dragon Kings ended in Ziyan's victory. By summoning the Dragon Slayer sword, she severely injured two of the kings, crippling them. However, they managed to escape. At the last moment, the Northern Dragon King grabbed them and fled. So the Dragon Kings did not die. It is absolutely obvious that something will still happen to them in the future. Ziyan planned to unite the entire Dragon Island and put an end to the rule of the three kings. But things would take a different turn. As is clear from the title of the video, the Northern Dragon King will return, and he will become far stronger. The second important point is that Xiao Yan's final saint-level puppet will be made from the body of the Northern Dragon King, so extremely interesting events are still to come involving him. In general, it is not worth burying these powerful experts in advance, even though they have currently lost to Ziyan and Xiao Yan. So, what exactly will happen to the Northern Dragon King during this time? How strong will he become? Although Ziyan was like a niece to him, after the disappearance of the Dragon Emperor Zhu Kuan, he took advantage of the situation to split the clan. He proclaimed himself a ruler, just like the other two kings. Even after the horrific defeat and the failure to seize the Eastern Island from Ziyan, the Northern Dragon King did not give up and did not abandon his ambitions. Returning to his home on the Northern Island, he tried to restore his own strength and the strength of the other two kings. They had lost limbs, and the Western King had even been cut in half by Ziyan's Dragon Slayer sword. After such injuries, even an expert at the saint level would find it extremely difficult to recover. More precisely, in the coming years, even decades, they would hardly be able to regain their peak strength. Because of this, the Northern Dragon King quickly realized that with such wounds, they would not be combat ready for a very long time. And on his own, the Northern Dragon King could do nothing against Ziyan. So what did he do? When the Northern Dragon King understood that they could not win in their current condition, he resorted to extreme measures, horrifying and terrifying ones. Specifically, he devoured the Western and Southern Dragon Kings to increase his own power. And was that even possible? You might ask. Otherwise, anyone could simply devour others and become stronger. The Northern Dragon King used a forbidden technique that had been destroyed thousands of years ago. Yet somehow, it ended up in his hands. It was said that the great-grandfather of the Northern Dragon King knew this technique in great detail. He had been entrusted with the task of destroying it. However, no one could be sure that he had not secretly hidden it away. That was how the Northern Dragon King could have obtained it. So what kind of technique was it? It was called the Demonic Dragon Transformation Formation, or in the original, the Transformed Demonic Dragon Formation. This was an extremely horrifying and dangerous technique, forbidden by the ancient Void Dragon clan. The formation was created by an exceptionally powerful expert of this clan, who was also the great-grandfather of the Northern Dragon King. Once the formation was activated, everyone inside it, except for the person at the center, would be torn apart or turned into a mist of blood. In the end, they would be absorbed and drawn into the center of the formation. In this way, the power of that person would greatly increase, but the formation was far too bloody and cruel. Therefore, it was classified as a forbidden technique and later destroyed. Yes, as we understand, the Northern Dragon King absorbed not only the two kings, the Western and Southern ones, but also many others. The novel states that he killed around 50 to 60% of all the dragons on the Northern Dragon Island. Just think about the scale of the slaughter. To him, even his own subordinates were nothing more than cannon fodder. Moreover, after the Northern Dragon King devoured the Southern and Western kings, 2 additional heads appeared on his body. The muscles of his body looked like living creatures, bulging beneath his skin. Waves of blood flowed out from his pores. He resembled a blood-soaked man, terrifying and frightening in appearance. On his shoulders, there appeared a strange, massive head composed of 3 faces. The face of the Northern King was the main one, while on the sides were the faces of the Southern and Western Dragon Kings. 3 faces on 1 head. Anyone who saw it would feel chills run down their spine. 6 blood-red eyes made him look more like a ferocious beast. In addition, this monster held a massive sword that seemed to be made of viscous liquid. Its golden color was mixed with blood-red hues. Truly a horrifying sight. It will be interesting to see how this is portrayed in the anime series. If they adapt it as in the original, it will be absolutely fire. And now the final question remains. What level of power did the Northern Dragon King reach after devouring the two kings? Before this, he had been at the peak of a 3-star saint, nearly 4-star. The Western and Southern Dragon Kings had been his allies, yet he did not spare them. He devoured their physical bodies and souls, ultimately turning into such a monster. His strength reached the level of a 6-star saint. Not bad progress. A 6-star saint. That is even stronger than Ziyan. The Northern Dragon King himself referred to the two kings he devoured as nothing more than 2 pieces of trash. They had suffered severe injuries from Ziyan. Even after recovery, it would have been difficult for them to become great once again. The Northern Dragon King decided that it would be better for them to serve him instead. But although he devoured their flesh and souls, he swore to take revenge on Ziyan. And after a couple of years, he truly returned, a 6-star saint, to once again try to kill Ziyan and seize the Eastern Island. This time, it was already the second encounter between him and Xiao Yan. He attacked the Eastern Island again and used the demonic dragon transformation formation to seize the essence of other dragons and use it as his own power. Ziyan clenched her teeth in the face of the mighty attack of the Northern Dragon King. She struggled to hold on. Because of the presence of the transformed demonic dragon formation, the experts of the Eastern Dragon Island dared not enter it. Otherwise, they would instantly turn into a mist of blood and strengthen their enemy. Northern Dragon King, sooner or later your mind will be corroded by bloodlust, and you yourself will turn into a cruel beast that knows only how to kill, Ziyan said angrily. To this, the Northern Dragon King replied that only he could unite the ancient Void Dragon clan, and only he could be the Dragon Emperor. Experts from the 3 Dragon Islands rose into the air with miserable expressions on their faces. The monster decided to use them as weapons and hurled them towards Ziyan. Although Ziyan's strength had grown rapidly recently, she had not broken through to the 5th star of the Saint Realm. Under the current circumstances, she could not defeat the Northern Dragon King even with her physique. The gap between 2 Saint stars was shocking. So the Northern Dragon King really is a monster. This reminded me of Mo Chang, the monster from Season 3 who tried to devour Qing Lin. He also fed on the power of others to become stronger. The Northern Dragon King's path shows how far ambition can twist even a former protector into a true monster. By sacrificing allies and his own clan, he gained terrifying power at the cost of his humanity. His rise as a 6-star saint turned him into a threat greater than before, even surpassing Ziyan. This outcome proves that such forbidden strength always comes with a price that cannot be escaped. Write in the comments what you think about this turn of events and the actions of the Northern Dragon King. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and see you all next time.